Hello folks, and welcome to some more Diablo 3 action here. Again, doing, under the Guardian tab, the Flawless Victory Complete 3 Conquest this season. We are looking to finish up today with this, with the Gears of War Conquest. 6 different sets running through Greater Rift 55 solo. We've done Natalia's, Shadows, Delsair's, Unhallowed Essence, and Marauders. Today we're going to be doing Firebirds Finery. And just a quick note, I do really suggest if you're wanting to get to the Guardian level of the season's journey this season, that you do the same 3 conquest I did with the 50 million gold, which basically you just need to find a gilded baron that's like not at the end of a level. And I mean, you can do it without even be setting up with Boon of the Hoarder, but you should normally be running Boon of the Hoarder in your farming anyway this season. Then Greater Rift level 45 solo without any sets. For multi-shot, this was like pretty easy for me. Like you have Dead Man's Legacy and Yang's already, so just like grab some other non-set items that have the right affixes, you know, like getting crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and dexterity, and and go. And then the 6 sets, cause set dungeons, for me, they're just not fun. If you enjoy them, yeah, by all means, go ahead. But for me, they are not fun. And complete acts 1 through 5 at max level in under 1 hour. You need a team, you need a plan, and you're gonna probably have to try a bunch of times. Like that is way harder than it sounds, and it does not sound easy. So, I mean, alternatively, I guess you could do the stuff in hardcore mode if that floats your boat. So, yeah, getting back to today. Firebirds Finery. What it do? Well, the 2-piece, when you die, a meteor falls from the sky and revives you. This effect has a 60-second cooldown. So they finally fixed this and brought it back in line with a lot of the other save life passives, instead of the old 300-second cooldown it had. And, you know, it used to be so bad that when you died, the cooldown just kept going. Like all the other cheat deaths everybody had would, when you died, actually died. Like, you know, you have died, press to revive. The cooldown would reset. Not for Firebirds. Like if you died immediately after you procced, you had like 290 seconds left to go on that cooldown. So I'm very happy that they finally fixed that. There's not really much to go over there. You die, meteor falls, damages stuff around you. It's kind of cool. But it's pretty much what it says on the tin. For the 4-piece set, dealing fire damage causes the enemy to take the same amount of damage over 3 seconds. Stacking up to 3,000% weapon damage is fire per second. After reaching 3,000% damage per second, the enemy will burn until they die. So, effectively, what this means is that if you can deal that much damage to a monster, and I mean it scales each time you hit them. Once you reach 3,000% weapon damage, they continue to take that damage over time until they die. Now note, if you go more than 2 screens away, they stop taking damage. But if you come back into range, the dot will pick back up again. So, sometimes you may need to kind of maneuver around with that with, say, really dangerous elite packs that are threatening your life. And again, that's not really something we can break down into skills and stuff. It's just any fire damage. So we're looking to deal fire damage, which is a huge surprise coming from this set. And that ties into the 6-piece set, where it says our damage is increased by 25% for each enemy that is burning. Okay, alright. Elite set of burning increase your damage by 600%, but you can only have 1 elite damage bonus active at a time. So remember what I said about I'm just 2 screens away. Because of the 6-piece bonus, you don't want to just hang around and kill things and then move on, like a lot of other builds want to do. You want to keep kiting forward and kind of, setting these guys on fire and then setting these guys on fire and then setting those guys on fire. And these guys are still burning, so they are boosting your damage that you're doing to these guys up here. That way you can maximize the whole package here and really use the 4-piece set to boost the 6-piece set to boost your overall damage. Now, I will note, those of you who keep up with the Wizard may have seen a lot of posts on the BNet forums or on Reddit or anywhere, probably on YouTube comments, that, Firebird 6 set is bugged. Okay, what it is, and Blizzard has come out and said that this is a problem. The 6-piece set, the elite portion of the 6-piece set, isn't working properly. When you gain the bonus to elite, to damage for an elite, it lasts until it stops. And I mean, it may sound like I'm being obtuse when I say that, but it really, there's not a set limit. It should end when the elite dies. It does not. You may be like 3 screens down the road. You may be like 2 seconds later. It ends when it ends. And so it's not that it's not doing the damage it's supposed to do. It's that the damage boost you're supposed to get lasts too long. So if you're worried that you're going to be gimped by running Firebirds, not really, because I mean it can cause an issue sometimes when you're battling multiple elite packs, and there may be like time stamp issues that get all wrapped around. But for the most part, you're getting your damage. They're not going to fix the problem, by the way, this season. They don't really do that. They fix in between seasons during the PTR and all. So, yeah, that's pretty much for Season 5. You can expect that to continue to be that way, and that's how that works. So, we've determined that we have this 6-piece set, and we've determined that our playstyle already, right? We're going to be, like, kind of kiting things around and dealing fire damage and trying to keep some monsters alive and dying while others are taking damage and kind of just blasting down elites. So how can we leverage that, right? So we have a few things that we need to worry about, right? We're kiting monsters, we're leaving monsters alive. We cannot be a glass cannon. That is not an option for us. As much as we would like to, say, hey, let's do 20,000 damage to everything and just blow it up. That doesn't work with our set. Like, that doesn't take advantage of our bonuses. Nor does it just make sense logically that we could even scale that high, right? Like, life in greater risk just on monsters gets insane. So we need to worry about toughness, right? Comes in some new and reworked 2.4 items, starting with the Mantle of Channeling, right? So if we channel Whirlwind, Rapid Fire, Strafe, Tempest Rush, Firebats, Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, or Ray of Frost, we deal 20 to 25% increased damage and take 25% damage reduction. Okay, sweet. So Firebirds has 7 pieces, and bonus is 6 pieces. So we can work in these shoulders and still have our full piece, our full Firebirds bonus without even having to use a Ring of Royal Grandeur. Awesome. So we pretty much right away put in Mantle of Channeling to our build and decide that we're going to focus on, excuse me folks, that we're going to focus on a channeling skill. One of these, Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, or Ray of Frost. We can mark Ray of Frost off that list pretty quickly because, Frost. Anyway, so from there, we can kind of look at, okay, Arcane Torrent Flame Ward. Take 15 less damage from attacks while channeling. Interesting. Interesting. How about Disintegrate? Disintegrate. What about the fire rune here? Well, its Convergence increases the width of the beam, allowing it to hit more enemies. Double the fire, double the fun. So this is why we run Convergence Rune of Disintegrate. Is more damage, is more better. Is just really the... I'd love to be like, oh yeah, there's this cool, when you do this and you do that and everything just kind of... No, it more number. More number. Alright. So coming back, how can we leverage what we already know we're going to be doing? Well, it's a new belt, right? Hergbrash's Binding, which is tougher to find than you would think, apparently. I say as I spent about 4,000 blood shards trying to gamble one, and this is the best one I got. Also, I may have salvaged some of this season and put one in the queue. Anyway, mistakes were made. This reduces the arcane power cost of Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, and Ray of Frost by 50 to 65%. Clearly mine is terrible, but still that bonus is incredibly good for what we're planning on doing, right? Like, still, 51%, we're talking under 10 arcane power per cast. So this really brings us more in line with something that can be spammed and can be used consistently. So, we want to deal fire damage. We want to be channeling Disintegrate pretty much all the time, right? We've made it cheaper. We've made it so that we gain damage and damage reduction when we channel it. So, what that really tells us is we don't need, or we don't want even, a generator or any sort of utility spells. We don't want Black Hole. We don't want, Apocalypse Rune of Blizzard like we used to run in Firebirds. None of that. What we want is we want a one spell. We want one Disintegrate to be our damage spell, and we want everything else to be just either single shot utility spells like Teleport that you really can't not use, or things that boost either our damage or toughness or both. So, coming around to that, let's take a look at what we've chosen for our skills. We go with Magic Weapon, okay? This does both of those things. If we choose the Deflection rune. Magic Weapon itself imbues our weapon with magical enemy, energy, granting it 10% increased damage. The Deflection rune means that when we perform an attack, okay, which will be very often, we gain a protective shield for 3 seconds that absorbs 4% of your life and damage. More toughness. Awesome. I mean, I guess you could try something. Ignite is not a good option. Like, it's such a small boost to your damage, it's really not worth it, and you're already dealing fire damage anyway, so that part doesn't help. Conduit, because of the reduction in cost that we already have going, it's really not necessary to worry about this. Force Weapon, the toughness is better than the damage here, at least when you're trying to push. And Electrify, this doesn't really do much of anything at all. So Deflection is our choice and really our best option. So, come back to Teleport. We'll go to Familiar, okay? Really, we run Familiar just because it's a little bit of added damage. The Familiar itself will fire some, but it grants us a 10% damage increase. And really that's better than most of our other options are anyway. Ice Armor is interesting. So, you may remember if you watched the Delsair's Magnum Opus video that I talked about Halo of Arlyse and Frost Nova and Ancient Parthan Defenders. If you're not familiar with that, it's been around for many seasons, but the way it works is Ancient Parthan Defenders grant you, for each stunned enemy within 25 yards, a reduction of your damage taken by 9 to 12%. This is not capped. There is no cap to this. The more damage, or the more enemies within 25 yards who are stunned, the more damage reduction you get. Freezing an enemy, counts as stunning it for these bracers. Even though it's not in the tooltip, no one knows why. We've told them for like 3 seasons now. Anyway, so we can gain a buttload, absolute buttload of toughness by leveraging this in combination with the Halo of Arlyse, which your ice armor now reduces damage from melee attacks by 53%, which is cool, and automatically cast Frost Nova whenever you take 10% of your life in damage is the key. Because Frost Nova freezes, which procs our ancient Parthan defenders. So, pretty much this is... I'm trying to think if there's a wizard build that doesn't use this, and right offhand I'm not coming up with one. This is pretty much stock for any wizard build. The downside and the thing that I don't like about wizards and haven't liked since they've moved to tall rushes and all this design that they've done is that it makes all wizards essentially melee. Like you're so much better off being melee than you are trying to be ranged that there's just no reward for going ranged. But hey, that's the way it is. Combo Halo of Arlyse with the Ancient Parthan Defenders. There you go. There is a huge boost in your toughness at, honestly, very little cost. I mean, what else would you put here? I guess you could put Unity. Still, this is better. This is just straight up, if you leverage this correctly, way better than a Unity ever could be. Which brings us to Ice Armor, and we run Crystallize because it increases our armor. And because of the way damage reduction stacks in this game, the way it works together, armor reduces all damage. Elemental damage, all resistance, resistance to a particular element affects that element. So the resistance and armor work together to reduce your total damage, and the higher you have each of them, the better. If you have like 20,000 resistance or 20,000 armor and like 100 resistance, you're still going to take a ton of damage. You would be rather like have 10,000 armor and 1,000 resistance. Yeah, I could go into more there, I guess, but that's pretty much what you need to know there. And we have Frost Nova on the bar, not to ever use it. The point here is not to use Frost Nova. It's that we don't really have another skill that needs to take up this spot on our bar. And by having Frost Nova on our bar with a rune selected to it, when Halo of Arlyse casts a Frost Nova, it will cast whatever rune we have on our bar assigned to Frost Nova. So we have Bone Chill because enemies take 33% more damage while frozen or chilled by Frost Nova. It's not a huge bonus, but I mean, it's something, and it's better than any of the rest of what we have here. I mean, Deep Freeze is probably the next best option, but it's less reliable because you do have to hit 5 or more enemies, and it's yeah, none of the rest of them really do much for us, so that's why we've chosen those skills. And Teleport, Safe Passage, we're using for just more toughness, even more safety. I really wouldn't suggest running anything else. Like, yeah, if you were running this build for farming, you could run Wormhole, but this is just straight up worse for farming than the either the Tall Rasha plus Sages build or the Wand of Woe, Tall Rasha's Firebird like combination build. So yeah, just kind of, if you want to run this in greater rifts, that's really where you want to be. We use Audacity because, again, with the Ancient Parthan Defenders of Halo of Arlyse, we're already kind of wanting to be melee oriented, so this is 30% additional damage for doing what we're going to do anyway. Blur, another 17% damage reduction. Awesome. Illusionist, get more value out of our teleport, get movement speed, and have it available more often, so we can get out of bad situations or get into bad situations. Because again, with Halo of Arlyse, you want to get into big packs, have it freeze them all, and then burn them down. Now, Unwavering Will could be Unstable Anomaly. They're pretty much interchangeable. If you were pushing higher rifts, you would probably want to have Unwavering Will changed for Unstable Anomaly, but for no higher than a 55 is, I'm going to have the extra damage of Unwavering Will here. And honestly, even at higher rifts, like the difference between Unwavering Will and Unstable Anomaly isn't that great. Clearly, except for when you're moving. Like if you're moving and you get hit with like, some big elite affix, you may get one shot, with Unwavering Will, where you might just proc with Unstable Anomaly. Other than that, let's see. So we've got all the Firebirds pieces. We're also running the Traveler's Pledge and Compass of Rose, the Endless Walk set, because while you're channeling, you're standing still. So we intend to be using those to good effect. Whenever the Ancient Parthan Defenders, full Firebirds, Deathwish. Also boost Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, or Ray of Frost. It's 30 to 35%, so I did all right on this one. So we'll start here and go over what rolls you're looking for. Ideally, I would rather have Vitality be area damage, but the main damage roll on this one was just so bad that I felt I had to re-roll it. So back at the top. Int Vit crit is fine. You could have Vitality be Disintegrate percent instead, but keep in mind that the more life you have, the more Deflection here heals you for, or absorbs while you're casting your Disintegrate. So it's really not certain that Disintegrate is better. Here on your shoulders, you want Int Vit. Armor could be percent life. They're probably pretty close to each other, but you definitely want area damage on your shoulders. Really, you want area damage wherever you can get it with this build. Speaking of which, the gloves, you would rather have area damage and vitality, and in fact, I would probably rather have area damage on this than I would Disintegrate on this. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your vitality, at your life, and trying to balance things. For the chest, this is what you want: int, vitality, armor. Armor could be elite damage reduction. I like it better this way, but your mileage may vary. Ancient Parthan Defenders. Obviously, you'd rather have Arcane be fire, but this is the only pair of APDs I have, and I'm just doing this one-time build, so we're gonna run them like this, and yeah. So yeah, roll fire, roll fire. For your belts, int Vit, and either percent life or armor. Well, no, you want int Vit, percent life, and armor. There we go. I'll talk right. But again, this belt is terrible, so I'm dealing with what I have. Normal defensive stats on the pants, int Vit, armor, sockets. You would rather have intelligence, vitality, armor, and disintegrate damage on your boots. You definitely want disintegrate on your boots, so I did that instead of rolling damage. Movement speed is not terrible though, so it's fine. Again, my orb is not very good. You would rather have area damage instead of vitality, and of course you would rather have all the rolls be higher. For the jewelry, this is what your ideal Traveler's Pledge would, have the stats of, but they would be better. Fire, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and a socket. For your compass rose, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, area damage, and intellect with a socket are the best you can do, so I lucked out here. You would rather be running a Convention of Elements here instead of a Halo of Arlyse, because you can get a crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and area damage with a socket Convention of Elements, while you cannot with a Halo of Arlyse, but I haven't seen any good Convention of Elements, or any Convention of Elements that could be rolled that way, so I took the best ring I had. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up that. So let's take a look at the cube. Wow. So we're running a furnace. I guess you could change the furnace out, but really, like, you are kind of trying to sort of hop between elites here. So furnace is what I would want to run. Aquila Cuirass. Because we're running this belt, and we use like so little of our arcane power to actually channel, we can keep Aquila Cuirass like up all the time. So that's just 50% straight damage reduction, and we would basically not run anything else. I can't think of anything else we'd rather run. Convention of Elements I have in the cube. If you were wearing a Convention of Elements, you would have Halo of Arlyse in the cube. So with that incredibly long-winded going over of how it works, let's see if I can actually do a 55, right? So let's go ahead and cast all of our buffs here. We'll kind of get in the middle here, and we'll set these things on fire. We'll kind of just kite forward. Note that I did not even go over legendary gems, did I? Oh, I'm sorry, folks. Because that's like actually important here. We're running Bane of the Trapped, which should not surprise anyone. Bane of the Trapped is pretty much set in stone for almost any build. We're also running Bane of the Stricken. Again, doesn't... You know, I'm not entirely sure how often Bane of the Stricken procs off of our Disintegrate, but I assume it's decently often. But it's still really helpful in terms of dealing with the Rift Guardian, which is very nice, because we won't have the extra burning enemies to give us a bonus. And we're running, as you can see down here, Taeguk. Now, Taeguk does require you to play a little bit awkwardly. As you can see, you kind of have to channel even when there's nothing to hit. You know, kind of stop running and sort of stutter step in a with your channeling. But the damage is, the damage is not nothing, but the toughness, dear God, the toughness. You know, there's some amount of sort of poo-pooing you can do for the toughness boost on non-intelligent characters that you get from Taeguk, because of, as I was talking about before, the way damage reduction works and kind of stacks together and all that. But it must be said that when you're playing an intelligence character that is mostly working with words, mostly working with resistances, boosting the armor is amazing. And while this is just stacking on top of a bunch of armor buffs we already have, it is still just an amazing amount of toughness. Let's see, we're at 94 million toughness right now. And while that's certainly, you know, nothing compared to what, say, like a monk or a barb could have, that is still, for a little old, you know, to all appearances, frail little wizard, a huge amount. And so, even though it is a little weird and cumbersome to have to work to keep your Taeguk stacks up, it is an absolutely incredibly strong buff that I would not suggest anyone, you know, if they want to get the most they can out of the build, to go without. It can be said you could probably teleport more than I am. There we go.
You dare attack me?
Does seem like we're at a level where our damage is sort of...
I grow weak.
Yeah. I tried to teleport there, but I misclicked. Had my mouse in the wrong place, so yeah, she didn't go nowhere. Anyway, it does seem to be at a point where our damage is such that things aren't really hanging around very long after we fire on them. I guess that's not entirely true. Some of these guys hang around. It's just there's a good bit of these stingers and the like. So yeah, I will say it does feel awkward because the cast animation is rather long with Disintegrate here, so it feels awkward when you have to cast it when there's not actually, you know, a legitimate target you're working on. But yeah, look at how quickly we mop up elites, man. That is awesome. And yeah, that's one thing I will point out. When you are using Taeguk, make sure when you go to a set of stairs, you walk beside the stairs, cast your spender, and then click on the door. Otherwise, unless you've got like a super low latency like connection and an SSD, like my ping is normally, yeah, it's a touch higher than average, but I'm normally like 130. If I don't immediately before I hit the door cast, the stacks are gone, and honestly, half the time they're probably like 35 to 40% of the time they're gone anyway. So we'll watch out for that. If I had fire on my bracers, things would probably go a little bit more smoothly, and more area damage, honestly. Like as it is, I'm very tough. As you can see, I have a pretty sizable shield up. That means, what does that give me? About 1,000,000 toughness? That's not nothing. That's in fact far from nothing. See if I can kind of get her to, not really, no. I'm gonna try to get her to follow. Truth be told, things would probably go a lot more smoothly if I was kiting even more. And getting more into the middle of things. So that's sort of something you should learn. You should learn from me not doing it, that it's a good thing to do. You want to get like, you know, in the middle of things. Wave your big death beam around, and then get in the middle of some more things. Because I'm still being pretty demon huntery about things and trying to kill packs. Yeah, sure. It doesn't really help me, but sure, I'll take it. Trying to kill packs instead of kind of kite them forward, which really is your goal here. I mean, if you've played Firebirds in the past, it's still a lot of the same idea. It's just you're using very different skills now. And also, instead of like, you know, instead of being like, wow, 45, or 43, or, you know, maybe 50 if you were really good, it's like, oh, yeah, did a 55 in my sleep, or whatever. I don't know how you talk, but, you know, there's no point in that. I felt like hitting buttons. As you do. I kind of feel like there's a lot more to talk about, but at the same time, it's just sort of the same. Like, most of the things there are to talk about here is how I'm doing it wrong. And, yeah, hopefully you can, that is a good thing if you can kind of take a look at what I'm doing here and, you know, on your own kind of see, oh yeah, he should be doing this. That's actually really great on your end if that's going on for you. That would be ideal. And yeah, sweet. So one step closer to having that Guardian tab done up. Break this Wreath of Lightning, because you never know, I might decide to run rifts with my wizard. Yeah, that's it. Sure. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it, except you can do it a lot better than I did. Again, you want to be more proactive about getting into the middle of packs, about kiting forward at all points, and really not focusing on staying in the same point nearly as much as I did. So yeah, hopefully, let's see if this if this twisted sword happens to be ancient. Of course it doesn't. So hopefully that gives you the idea, and you can take that and, you know, and put it in your pocket and do something cool with it, or at least maybe it was fun for you to see somebody way worse at the game than you. Either way, hope you enjoyed, and look forward to seeing you later on.